Share screen. I want you to see. So, welcome. This is Karen Lindwall-Bourg. I'm the president of the National Association of Christian Women Entrepreneurs. We're here today with the founder of and first president of the National Association of Christian Women Entrepreneurs, kind of my mentor. We'll talk a little bit throughout the time that we're together about our journey as it applies to the things that Diane is teaching us today about progress, not perfection. Hard lesson to learn. It's a mindset shift that I think I have to do on a daily basis, so I'm hoping this takes me to some places. Got my notes. You should have been able, if you're a NACWE member, you should have been able to download the handouts from the NACWE member group. But if you're not a NACWE member and you want to put your email in the chat box while we're working through the process today, and Diane, when Diane first starts talking, I'll run in there and send you the PowerPoint, the handouts in email really quickly, or you can just work through, she's going to show you the handout and you can just work through it with some scrap paper or whatever. So let me pray us in and get us started. Father God, we're so grateful to call you our Father in the first place, grateful to be called the daughter of a king, to be princesses, to be queens. Lord, we are grateful for what you've provided for us, for the freedoms that we have right now in our culture to be entrepreneurs, to run businesses and ministries your ways, to get on technology like this and just talk and see each other's faces and hear each other's voices. So we're grateful, Lord, for what you've provided for us, for everything you've done, for the freedoms that we have, and we pray for the preservation of those freedoms. But we also pray, Lord, that we're entrepreneurs that bring you glory and honor every step of the way, that what we do pleases you, that you like our work, that our work is worthy, that it touches lives and changes lives and draws people closer to you, Christ, our Redeemer. Lord, I would just lift up Diane, our speaker today, and these 3 hours. I would pray, Lord, for every person who's in the room today and those who will listen in later and watch the recordings later, that you would open our hearts and minds and prepare us for new lessons, for new journeys, for new ways of doing things, Lord. We just want to do things in ways that please you, and so we pray for every step of the progress, not perfection handouts, every step that we go through, Lord, that you'd give us some insight, that you'd give us some wisdom, some clarity, and some new focus that will take us and our businesses and ministries to new places. We ask these things, Lord, in Christ's holy name. Amen. As we get started, I think, if everyone in here knows something, I think, about NACWE. Let me move my little thingy. It's in my way. If you know Diane, you know something about NACWE probably. So I'll just tell you, we're basically here for people who crave a like-minded community of other entrepreneurs, someone to hang out with, someone to bounce ideas off of, someone to connect with. You're not alone on this journey anymore. I'm in my office alone this morning. We'll close the door if people start popping in, but there's that alone feeling constantly, I feel like, as a Christian entrepreneur working on your own business and your own ministry. So it's a great place to come so you're not so alone anymore. We also provide education every Tuesday afternoon. This Tuesday's our 5th Tuesday of the month, so we're doing a special event, and we started early this morning. And then we're just encouraging entrepreneurs to grow. The upcoming biggie for NACWE right now is that we are having our conference. I don't know what number this is. I know that NACWE was established in 2010. But not sure how many conferences. Did you have conferences every single year from the beginning, or when did you start?
I skipped 2 years. We had virtual conferences those 2 years. So we'll have to do the math.
Yeah, so that makes this probably the 6th.
Yeah.
We're 8 years old, and we didn't do the first 2 years live. So this will be our 6th, we'll say that, live conference. It'll be here in McKinney, Texas, in my hometown. We rented a little house downtown McKinney, so we get the whole house to ourselves. And we'll spend September the 14th and 15th, Friday and Saturday, all day together, just enjoying growing through the different stages and phases of being an entrepreneur. We're calling it the Take Flight to Success Conference, and next year it's going to be Soar to New Heights. So we'll sort of follow those themes. Diane will speak. I will speak. Marcella Lawson will speak. She does a presentation called Recipe for Success that is just absolutely adorable. She's a chef. And Kim Hawkins will speak. Kim probably will pop into her room if she isn't already here sometime this morning. And then our keynote speaker is Lisa Lloyd, who is the author of the book Chasing Freedom and Chasing Famous. And she also, you've seen her, if I showed you some commercials, Albertsons, American Airlines, Caranel, I'm missing a bunch of them, but if I showed you one of her commercials, you would think, oh my gosh, I've seen her before. And they're just adorable. She's really energetic and fantastic. I'm looking forward to hearing from her both days. We're also going to have a pre-conference, so there will be information on our website about everything you need to know, NACWE.org, right? We'll also have a pre-conference where we work together with Angela Halford, who's also in our room today, where we take the DISC assessment that we've already taken and spiritual gifts assessments that we have taken and weave them together to understand more about ourselves and more about our clients. That'll be during our meet and greet, so we'll have some people milling around having snacks and just meeting and greeting before the conference, and we'll have some people sitting in on her short hour-and-a-half seminar that night as well. So this is a little bit of information. Take a picture of it with your phone. Go to NACWE.org, and I'll put some links in the chat box as well to get all the details, everything you didn't know you needed to know about NACWE Conference 2018. We look forward to seeing you there. So let me unshare and get Diane started. So I told Diane I would try not to get too terribly sappy, but it's hard not to. So a little bit of background as Diane gets started this morning, and some of you already know these stories. I had a private practice office here in McKinney for many years and just was so interested in how to run a business. I'd never run a business before. That I began to have lunch and learns here in McKinney and established a little group called the Helping Professionals Alliance. This was in 2011, I think. So a year after Diane had already started NACWE. And I realized that I was having more fun than a barrel of monkeys having lunch and learns and teaching people how to run their businesses. And we brought in guest speakers and all sorts of things and just had a great time, men and women. And then realized that I was teaching people so much that I wasn't learning new things on my own. And there was just a limit. You can't know everything. I needed help in so many dimensions of being an entrepreneur. So I went online somehow. Most of us don't even know how we found NACWE, but I went online somehow looking for help and found NACWE and found Diane. I actually attended a few free webinars. And then on one of those webinars, I won a 90-day, it was supposed to be $90 for 90 days, and you got an email every day for 90 days. Simple, short, sweet, concise, right to the point, do this, do that. Some things as simple as, do you have a name tag? And do you wear a name tag? You know, are you passing out business cards? You know, what are you wearing? You know, it was just some of them were simple, some of them were more complicated. And I found myself just really engrossed in that process and reached out to Diane on Facebook and said, how does somebody talk to you voice to voice, face to face? I need some one-on-one attention. Got that, ended up having Diane come out here and talk to us. She actually talked to me and to Fred. And Fred asked Diane a ton of questions, you know, all about NACWE, all about Diane Cunningham and her coaching. He asked her how much money she made the year before I was about to crawl under the table. She answered him. He asked her how much she invested in her business the year before, especially in coaching herself. She answered. And and I'm thinking, oh my word, these are numbers that I haven't even begun to approach yet. And so I thought, this is a no-go, not going to happen. And the minute she left our office, Fred said, you need to hire her. You need to hire her right now. So we worked together for several years. I don't have time to tell you what she's done for me, but if you've hung around with me very much, you've seen me and heard me talk about her over and over and over again. We still, on Tuesdays when we do NACWE webinar, educational webinars, we still talk about Diane. We still say, well, if anybody taught us this, you know, that it's okay to be vulnerable, that it's okay to be honest, that there are ups and downs, that you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps and just keep going. We do that all the time still. So I haven't gotten over my Diane fix yet. So there's a reason for that. The reason is because she loves what she does. She does it well, and she teaches it well. And so we are glad to have her back. Really, it's been 15 months. When I became the president of NACWE, I said, you have to leave, because if you don't, I'll just follow you still. And I'll do everything Diane's way, and I'll look to you, and if someone asks a question, I'll just look to Diane. I've got to learn to fly a little bit solo anyway. Not that I haven't called her several times, met her at the spa, but now she's back with us to talk to us today about progress, not perfection. There will be other sappy things during the 3 hours. We will take frequent breaks, and when we take breaks, we'll literally just ask you to mute yourself, and if you want to turn your video off and take a break, get up, move, go get some water, refresh your chapstick, whatever you need to do to take care of you, because it'll be fun and energetic, but they're going to take you to places, as Diane always does, that make you really think and reevaluate and reassess. So there will be breaks, and if you need to get up and walk away and take a break at any time, we won't be offended. Take care of you during these 3 hours. God bless you, Diane, for even being willing to do this. It's a gutsy move, and I'm going to turn it straight over to you. Thanks so much.
Okay. Well, just on that note, like earlier this morning, I thought, what did I say yes to? 3 hours? That's crazy insanity. I've only done that one other time. And you were probably on that one as well, Karen. It was a couple years ago. And, you know, I mean, it takes a lot of energy. Like, this is like a marathon, not a sprint, you know. So, excited to be here. Can all of you hear okay? I just want to do a little double check on audio and video and everything. Okay, good. And yes, there will be lots of times where I'm going to bring you on and off of the mute. Right now, I think everybody's on mute, except maybe a little bit of echo or audio from someone. And Karen will be taking care of that. So I am just honored and thrilled to be here, Karen. Thank you for leading my baby and loving my baby. And as most of you know, I created this amazing group in 2010, not knowing whether anybody was going to join. And really just, you know, I had started many things that really there was just crickets sitting there, me and crickets. And and I don't know, I mean, I'm pretty sure I've had things since passing the baton to you, Karen. I've had things that I've started that haven't worked at all. And I had, you know, and that's okay. That's what progress, not perfection is about. That's what progress, not perfection is about. We're going to just be talking about it over and over and over today. And just really looking at some of the tools that I've used as a counselor, as a woman in recovery, as an entrepreneur, and just really, I mean, I'm a brand new wife. We had our first fight about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. We didn't do it very well. It wasn't well. It didn't go very well. And since then, we have had to learn a lot. But it's just the same as with our business. I didn't know how to do a webinar until I did a webinar. I didn't know how to write a book with a bunch of women in it until I wrote a book with a bunch of women in it. And I certainly had no idea how to do create an association, have a conference, until I did any of those things. And all of that for me means progress, not perfection. It means being willing to show up, suit up, and see what happens. Because if not, I'm just going to sit over here in fear and chaos and overthinking. We're going to talk a lot about overthinking and how to stop that. We're going to talk a lot about just really mindset shifting because all of this stuff, I mean, you're going to forget pretty much probably 95% of what I teach you today. You're just going to forget it. You're just going to forget it. Let's do a little bit of logistics. Karen, I love you. I'm thrilled to be here. I was a little nervous because you are my people. You know, I was like, oh my gosh, these are my people, and I get to be with them again today. So I feel honored and blessed and a little nervous. And you know what? That's okay too. If you're not nervous throughout the, you know, not every day. I don't think, you know, I'm not nervous every day. You'd probably be nervous too if you had a 3-hour presentation. So just saying. But the handouts, let me do a little bit of logistics. The handouts are really simple. If you don't have them, it's not a big deal. Just grab blank paper. And actually, if you have them, grab blank paper too, because you're going to need that in addition to the very simple handouts that I made. I've learned over and over again, you know, my mind tells me that you need a 40-page document to come to this. And that's me overthinking. I want to teach you, and I want you to learn and take notes and really begin to integrate it into what makes sense for you. So I left a lot of room for you to take notes, write things down. And this is your learning opportunity. If you don't learn anything today, that's okay. You know, I can't, and Karen can't do the work for you. You know, that's uncomfortable and awkward, and a lot of people want, you know, my job as a coach and as a counselor, or even as a sponsor. I sponsor 5 women in AA and Overeaters Anonymous, and, you know, I can't keep them sober. I can't get them to not eat the donut. It's not my job. My job is to share my experience, strength, and hope. What has worked? What's working for me in my sobriety, in my abstinence from overeating, what's working for me in my business, and all of those things are you know, they're not right or wrong. It's just my experience. You know, this is what has helped me one day at a time. Any questions for us before we dive into start getting into the meat? Any questions? And can everybody hear? Okay, go ahead and type into the chat box just so we know that you're okay. And it looks like a lot of people are getting the handout, and all good. Okay, good. Just go ahead and type into the chat box too, just where you're located, because there's some of you that are new here. Some of you I know very, very well, but some are new here. And Karen, do you save the chat box, like the transcript from this? Okay. So go ahead and type that all in, and we'll get to know each other in a new way. And also, this is being recorded. Karen already said some of this, but I'll just repeat it. This is being recorded. Don't panic if you need to turn it off or answer the doorbell or you know, whatever happens in your household. You can turn your video on and off, which most of you have your video off, which is fine. And you will be able to come back and catch up because we're recording the whole thing. All right, so go ahead and let me take a drink of water and grab a blank sheet of paper. We're not even going to get to the handout yet. We're going to start with a blank sheet of paper, and we're going to do something new. I'm going to make you uncomfortable today. Ha ha! That's my job. I'm going to make you uncomfortable. So everybody have a blank sheet of paper. And the next thing I'm going to ask you to do, and I won't be able to see whether you do this or not, but follow along here with me. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, and we're going to use the blank sheet of paper after you close your eyes, which makes sense. But close your eyes and just take a deep breath. I'm going to keep my eyes open so I can lead you through a little process. And then as soon as we're done with this process, I want you to open your eye, and I'll tell you when. Open your eyes, and you're going to jot a few things down, okay? All right. Go ahead and close your eyes. And we're going to be thinking about, remember when we went back to school? It's almost back to school time here in Texas. And remember when we went in those elementary school classrooms and we had a cubby? So I want you to, in your mind, envision a cubby. and think about what color that might be in your mind's eye, and the wall that it might be on, and kind of the feeling right there. I know when I think about those cubbies on the wall, I kind of get this giddy feeling, and look for mine, and get excited. And so I actually am going to gift you not just one cubby, you have 6 cubbies. I know, it's just totally amazing, and you can cry if you need to, but you get 6 cubbies today. You get 6 cubbies. So just in your mind's eye, see those. They're all yours. They're all yours, and you're going to use them right now to put some things in. So that first cubby, and again, with your eyes closed so that you can stay here in this experience. In that first cubby, I want you to think about your expectations for even just this morning, your expectations for these 3 hours. And go ahead and put those expectations, whatever they are, there's no right or wrong. Go ahead and put those expectations into that cubby number 1, we'll call it. Just let them go in there, put them in there, whatever feels right for you. And as soon as that's complete, just go ahead and, just come back into yourself, and then we're going to look at your cubby number 2. And in cubby number 2 is where we want to make sure we all have lots of busyness and chaos and phone. I've got texts coming in from my sister and notifications. And you know what? What I'm going to ask you to do is in that second cubby, go ahead and put your busyness in there. The busyness I'm ready to set aside for the next few hours. Busyness. And just put all that in there so that you can be present here with us today. And then in your third cubby, this is a big cubby for me. And this is the worries cubby. And the worries I want to release, whether that's this morning or today or the next 3 days, or just the ongoing fear and worry. And go ahead and look at what's in that section or of you, and start putting some of your worries in there. And then just take a deep breath and let go of those worries, and then we're going to start looking at cubby number 4. And cubby number 4 is a big one for us women and as entrepreneurs. This is our intellectual ideas and concepts of what I know or what I think I don't know. And you might think you don't know how to do a conference, a retreat, write a book. I'm not sure what you think you know and what you don't know, but this cubby is where I want you to put all of that, what you think you don't know and what you think you know. Okay. And then 2 more cubbies. 2 more cubbies, and keeping your eyes closed, and you'll be able to open them very soon. I know it's uncomfortable, and go ahead and just take a deep breath, because we rarely, here's the truth, we rarely breathe deeply. I know as an entrepreneur, I get worked up, fired up, anxious, freaked out, and we rarely breathe in very deeply. So let's just do that together right now. And again, I know that this might be different and uncomfortable, and I'm okay with that. And the next 2 cubbies that you have in your mind's eye are the last 2 that we're going to fill today. And then you're going to open your eyes and write down some notes about this experience. And so the next cubby is the roles that you play, roles that I play. And so the normal ones we might have in there are wife, mother, daughter, sister, business owner, churchgoer, But I want you to think of some of the other roles you might play. People pleaser, family scapegoat, fixer, drama queen, needy one, whatever those roles that you think you might play or have played, go ahead and put those in that cubby right now. And some of them are going to be uncomfortable. Some of those roles you don't want to have anymore, but maybe your family keeps giving them to you. Just lay those in there, take a deep breath, you're going to be okay. And then our last cubby is a key one, and we don't want to talk about this either. And this one is, what weapons have I used to protect myself? The weapons I have used to protect myself. And that might be sarcasm, overthinking. When I did this exercise, I wrote down my smile. So what are the weapons you have used to protect yourself? And go ahead and lay those in that cubby number 6. And then just go ahead and take a deep breath, step away from your cubbies, step away from your 6 cubbies, and you can look at them, but we're gonna just know that they're there, just like in elementary school. You can go back and you can go over there anytime you need to, but they're okay, they're safe, and you're safe here, and we're gonna learn and grow and experience some new things together today, and we're gonna talk about progress, not perfection. And so go ahead and you can open your eyes now. I think more people have even joined us on the call. And welcome if you came in during that. We'll kind of fill you in as we go. And so I'm going to give you a minute of silence. And so this is where I want you to take that blank sheet of paper and jot down some of those things that you just put in your cubbies. And I'll talk through the 6 of them just briefly right now again. But I want you to write these down, and then we're going to have you share a little bit, and then we're going to get into our topic, but we're setting the stage. So cubby number 1 was expectations. Cubby number 2 was busyness that you're setting aside. Cubby number 3 is worries that you need to release today, worries and fears. Cubby 4 is intellectual ideas, what I think I know and what I think I don't know. Cubby number 5, I can't do the math. Cubby 5 is roles I have played, roles I play now and in the past. And cubby number 6 is the weapons I have used to protect myself. And go ahead, I'm going to give you 1 minute to write what you need to down. Okay, so hopefully that clears a little bit of your mental gyrations, we'll just call them that, that go on. And does anybody want to either share? And again, we're about to dive into our content. This is the pre-content. This is like, let's kind of like come to the room Does anybody want to share either in the chat room or out loud? Probably have time for 2 shares. And remember that what I've learned in AA, I'm going to share a lot of things I've learned in recovery. They teach us in the rooms that if anything you share longer than 3 minutes is just you telling stories and ego and drama, we don't need to know all that. You know, we need to know how was there any piece of this exercise that impacted you or shocked you or made you more aware? So who wants to share that? We'll probably have time for 2 people to share that. And the rest of you, I need you to type into the chat box. So if you are willing to share, go ahead and just unmute yourself, turn your video on, and come tell us what this exercise meant for you. Okay, Anita just typed into the box. Immediately aware that, and I'll read some of these out loud while we're here in case we don't have anybody ready to share yet. Immediately aware that there are way too many roles, yes. Expectations, I want to be open today, be willing to receive and open to the ideas I will learn something new or be reminded of something new I have forgotten. Yes, thank you, Kim. And Karen, weapons, I thought immediately of being an introvert. Sort of needing to be alone, being busy. Excellent. And anybody else, anybody off of mute wants to share? Is that you, Annette?
Yeah, it's me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the thing that just shocked me, and I'll be honest with you, is when I wrote down worries, I didn't write down all the worries I thought were my worries. You know, I thought my worries were all about my family because I'm like, you know, a lot of y'all know me know I'm in cray-cray mode and taking care of a bunch of people, but I actually didn't write down anything to do with my family. I wrote down not enough time to do what I want to have my dreams come true. And that just kind of shocked me, actually.
Excellent. Well, and thank you so much for your authenticity and vulnerability. That's what we're going to be doing here. Just everybody, I mean, I've already set the stage. Thank you, Kim, or not Kim. Thank you, Annette, for being authentic, vulnerable. We are recording this. It will be out on YouTube, so don't share anything you don't want shared. But, you know, I believe in the power of, you know, I don't tell, here's the truth. Like, I have to make sure I've worked through a thing enough. You know, it's never tidied up and in a little bow. You know, I'm never going to be done with my one day at a time recovery experience. But, you know, there's things that I have learned, just even the fight Jim and I had 2 weeks ago. I'm okay sharing about that because I've asked him whether I could, and not giving the gory details, but what we learned from this experience. And so I believe that it's important that we do talk about the things we're learning as we're going along today, and aha moments that we're having, and you know that this is not, we're never going to be perfect, and we have to just let that nonsense go. I would say another word, but I know where I am. And you know, we've got to just really let go of our and a lot of that number 1 was about expectations. In the rooms of the 12-step programs, we call expectations premeditated resentments. Because I can have all these expectations of this 3 hours of Karen, of Kim, of Marcia, and you don't even know what my expectations are, but I'm all mad at you because you didn't give them to me, and I'm all, you know, twisted up and writing bad reviews and all this other drama. You don't even know what I'm expecting. I have not told you, you didn't, you know, we didn't have that conversation. So expectations, I mean, they're good in some areas of our life, but they can become resentments and premeditated problems in our families. You know, lots of our chaos and craziness gets played out in our family unit. The people we love the most, we are the meanest to. And they push our buttons. They know how to do it. They created them. So anybody else want to jump on? Thank you, Annette. Anybody else want to jump on just and share briefly any aha moment from just this pre-experience we just did?
So there are a few new things in the chat box.
Yeah, so Kim Smith said the role of problem solver. Sometimes I enjoy it, but I can feel overwhelming with too many at once. Excellent, excellent. Okay, and this the reason I just did this exercise with you is because this exercise was just done to me at a training I went to, a 4-day training, and yeah, premeditated resentments. And it was very powerful, and it was a very aha moment of just thinking, virtually, mentally, with my eyes closed, thinking about those cubbies and where am I going to put all this so that it's not in the way of me being here with you. All right, so let's dive into our content and switch gears a little bit. Karen, anything you want to add?
We're good.
Okay, golly, it's almost time for a break. Great. Oh, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Okay, so we're going to talk about progress, not perfection. And again, I think most of you have a handout now. And if not, don't freak out. It's not a big deal. Karen will get you one. And we're going to be talking about 4 main kind of bullet points and then going into some other material on the stages of change. Progress, not perfection, helping your client and yourself, how your mindset affects your clients. And and I was looking up some quotes related to progress, not perfection. One of them is from the big book called Alcoholics Anonymous. So I'm going to this is on page 60. This is what we call the big book. It's blue, but you'll love what this is talking about. So whenever it says alcohol in this literature, I can replace that with people pleasing, food. I mean, my first addiction was food. It was all that was available to me and my family, and it was how I coped with the good, the bad, anything that was uncomfortable. So step 12, having had a spiritual awakening, as a result of these steps, we tried to carry the message to other people pleasers, other entrepreneurs, so I'm filling in the blank there, and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go through with this." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. And so that's really, where that saying comes from. Progress, not perfection. Spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Entrepreneur progress rather than entrepreneur affection. And so I wanted you to just really catch a glimpse of that. And that's on page 60 in the AA literature. And because it's important as an entrepreneur to know that it's going to be crazy. It's going to be ugly. And so why don't we go ahead and dive into how your mindset affects your clients. I believe that our mindset is I want to be is the same person on the webinar screen on Zoom and that you would meet if you met me for coffee. I don't want to live a double life. Is anybody let's go ahead and just do a little interaction here. If you have lived a double life in any way, in any shape or form, you're this way over here and oh gosh, you all these different kind of chameleon situations going on, go ahead and say that. Go ahead and type that into the chat box, that if you have lived a double life, I know I have lived a couple different directions, couple different ways, and just go ahead and say, yes, I have been there, Diane, because it'd be helpful for me to know that I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. I mean, I have lived a double life when I was drinking. I was leading NACWE. I mean, many of you have read this story, know this story. lived this story, but I had created NACWE in 2010. And during that time, I was a daily drinker. I just really thought everybody drank every night because the people I surrounded myself with did. And if I wasn't out drinking with them, having a margarita or going for wine and dinner, then I was at home doing it. And I was leading and teaching and coaching all day long. So I wasn't under the bridge. No, sure wasn't under the bridge. And I still had a very vibrant, obviously growing association, but I was living in this complete double life. And it looks like someone, you guys have chimed in. Yes, it's exhausting. Double life, yes, I've been there. Yes, in my marriage, yes, I lived a double life in my first marriage as well. And when you have done the double life deal, you are worn out. So pay attention. Pay attention when you start to feel that. It's called duplicity, and pay attention to that feeling in your gut of, okay, something is not right here. We have to always be willing to work on ourselves, on our stuff. Our society, here's the truth. Our society tells me and you that to blame everybody else. Let's file a lawsuit. Let's do this. Let's, post on Facebook. Let's do all this stuff, attacking out. What I've had to learn is I have to, and yet we don't want to attack into. I have to, it's called right-sized. This is a key concept. I'm not the best and I'm not the worst. I'm not on the floor rolling around, and I'm not going to be the highest on the mountaintop. Learning to be right-sized in my business, right-sized in my finances, right-sized in my marriage, learning how to be right where I am, knowing I have amazing gifts and talents in some areas, and knowing, there's some things I have no idea how to do, I'm really, really bad at, and I need to hire the people. And learning to be right-sized is really going to be one of those mindsets. How your mindset affects your clients. Your mindset is going to be caught, not taught. So if you're vulnerable, you're going to teach your clients to be vulnerable. And these are all, I'm very loosey-goosey, we'll just say it that way. I'm going to share a lot of concepts with you in each of these little sections. You can write them all on a separate piece of paper, doesn't matter. Hopefully something will hit you that might stick today. Like we said, if you get 5% of what I'm saying today that you can use, if you get one nugget that you can leave here with and just say, well, that was what I needed to hear, praise God. So that caught, not taught. And another phrase that we use a lot, attraction, not promotion. I want to work with the clients in my business, and even when I was the president and founder of NACWE, I want to attract people to me that they want what I'm teaching. I don't want to have to prove myself all day, every day, because that's exhausting too. Double life is exhausting, and trying to prove yourself all day long, every day is very exhausting as well. Has anybody done that deal, the proving and the convincing and the chasing in their business or in their dating life or anywhere? And if you have, go ahead and just say yes. Yes, I have. And that attraction, not promotion is a key concept, because I think the more we are truly who we are, the more I stop living that double life, the more I become the Diane that God created me to be, take off all, we tend to put on, this mask and this, we just have to keep taking the masks off, because my fear tells me, and my expectations of what I think you need from me make me want to put all that back on. Let me ask you this. Have you ever had to refund a client? Because, I've had to do that many times. And in fact, a couple months ago, I had to refund a giant amount of money to one of my clients. And you know what? It was the right answer. It was the right answer for her, and it was the right answer for me, and I felt at peace about it. But that's another piece of learning how to have progress, not perfection. I am not going to be the right coach for everybody. And, that's good. That's really good, because I don't have time to work with everybody. And hopefully you don't either. The longer we're in business, the more we need to, niche. Who are my people? And who do I need to send to Karen and Marcia and Janie and Kim? Because I cannot, back when we first start, we do everything for everybody all day long, twist it around. And then we get more and more tired, and then our family is mad, and then we aren't taking good care of ourselves. And self-care is really a big piece of what we're going to talk about today. Part of that's going to get into this next section, daily concepts. I am going to look at the time. We're about to take our first, just so you know, we're going to take our first break really soon here, and we'll have a lot more meat of the concepts here coming up. But let me just pause. Any thoughts, any questions? Anybody want to come off of mute before we get to we're going to take let me just check with Karen. We're going to take a 10-minute or so break here soon and leave the screen on. But before we do that, I want to hear some input. So let's have 2 volunteers again. You can do this and be brave and help us all learn together. 2 volunteers to maybe share anything that you've learned from this first little section on mindset. And just turn your video on and share with us.
I love the example that you gave. I mean, so I'm sitting here thinking, really, mindset, caught, not taught. But I do need some teaching, related to mindset. And I thought, you just did that. You read from the book, the big blue book or whatever, and you fed yourself and you fed us. And so I just feel like mindset shift is a daily need for me. I love, one of our members, Holly, said the other day, it's not just a matter, how you always have a coach who's saying to you, well, just tell yourself every day that you're the best, entrepreneur coach on the planet. And she said, no, tell yourself something that's totally honest, that's totally measurable, that's totally reachable, that's true, that's, really encouraging. And I thought, yeah, no wonder my heart kind of turns upside down when someone's trying to feed me a new mindset that doesn't fit. So, you've already taken us there. I think this has just been a really good beginning, that you've got to continually pour into your heart, pour into your soul, pour into your mind this new set, that it has to fit. It has to fit who you are. It has to fit. I may be reorganizing those cubbies for the rest of my life, but it has to fit me, my cubbies. It's very helpful.
Yes. Thank you, Karen. Who else wants to share before we take our first bathroom break and water break? And this can be a question or any and as we go along, sidebar, I'm reading the chat, in between teaching, and I can see that, and I can see each of you that are on the screen, which is not very many of you, but I can see your name. So as you go along, if you have something to share or an aha moment, we want to hear that. Type that, share that, because it's not just helpful for Karen and I, it's helpful for everybody here. And I'm going to just call on people that I know. Kim Smith, any ahas just from this first little hour, this first beginning section?
It goes a little bit along with what Karen said. The mindset is caught, not taught. And I was thinking, this is just like our kids. We don't have to tell them, they're just catching it. And so it's kind of scary in a way to think that our clients are just catching it. So it's kind of, that was an aha moment.
Okay, good. That's good. Anybody else want to share before we go on our first break? Because I have a lot. When we get back, we're going to get into the daily concepts. I'm going to show you some of the ways I track my daily things, some of my tools that I use every day, routines and practices, prayers and meditation. So we're going to get into a lot of nitty-gritty content after this, but who else wants to just share an aha from this first hour? Kim Hawkins.
Hi.
Hi.
I was thinking, as far as the mindset goes, and like Karen said, it's uncomfortable when you're trying to do the fake it till you make it. If that's not you, that's not your persona. But one thing that was said to me recently is if you're striving to be like a certain way, that you got to surround yourself with those kind of people who are doing that thing, and look at them, look at the examples that they give you, how they do things. And it may not be an exact fit, but you might pick and choose the things that you can do, that you can try, and try one thing. Don't try to do it all. I mean, but just model after them in some way, because imitation is a form of flattery. But you watch them and you see what's working for them. And you might try it and it might be a colossal flop. And you go, okay, that didn't work for me. But then you learn that there's another way.
Yes, yes. And yeah, thank you so much. The two Kims have weighed in. And we have to really guard against, what do I call them? Judgment, justification, and jealousy. Judgment, justification, and jealousy. As we look out at the landscape, those are the 3 J's, and I think I wrote a blog about it, I don't know, years ago. But, you know, I can look out and be jealous of any of you. And, you know, see your little Facebook things and see this and see where you've gone on your trips. And you can do the same for me. I mean, we can all just be sitting here judging and jealous and justifying, well, if only I had blank, I could do blank, you know. And that is all just another form of self-sabotage, and we're going to get to that here in a little while, because that's just you, like, not doing your own work. You know, I mean, let's get honest. We all have 24 hours. That's it. Guess what? You get the same 24 that I get. And, you know, we're blessed and amazed that we get that. I just was realizing in my Facebook memories that one of our NACWE members, that some of you will remember, Tracy Bailey Scott, today was the day a couple years ago that she passed away. Today is the day she went home to Jesus. And so, you know what? We are not gifted, ensured the expectation of another day. And so all I have is I need to live in this, I call it a pocket, you know, this pocket of 24 hours, do everything I can and do the best I can, and make amends when I make mistakes, because I'm going to make a bunch. I know that. I expect myself to make mistakes, because if not, I wouldn't go anywhere. I wouldn't go anywhere and do anything. You know, so all of that's a piece of the learning. It's a piece of the journey. And we're going to learn that there's some people that are not our people. They're not our clients. And that's A-okay. Hallelujah. You know, step aside, sister. Let me read what Mindy says. She says she's at work, so she can't weigh in on audio, and that's fine. We're so glad you're here, Mindy. Mindy is one of my soul sisters here in the Dallas area, and she just launched her new business. She said she's learned many hard lessons since launching my business about sticking to who I truly am, authentically am, and not who others want me to be. Yes, everybody has got their 2 cents, and I'm a people pleaser. And girl, I was burning out trying to keep up with what everyone, in her store. And while we're on break, this reminds me, while we're on break, everybody go ahead and post their information about who, you know, is this okay, Karen, their website and whatever they need to promote, so we can all find each other. I'm getting back to the vision I was given, and it's okay not to be around. Yes, for sure. You know, bless and release, bless and release. So let's do this. We're going to just keep the video on, right? And we're going to turn off our whatever we need to do. And what time do you want them to come back, Karen?
If you're giving them 10 minutes, it would be 10:05-ish.
10:06-ish or so. All right, ladies, then we will be right back. Grab more paper, grab water, go potty, do what you need to do, and we'll keep on going.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi.
Ready?
Yes. While we're gathering, do you want to share anything, Karen, before, like, while people are gathering back up?
I'm good.
You're all good? Okay. All right. So we are back here, and welcome. This is, just so we know where we are, this is section 2. We're just going to call that was section 1. This is section 2 of our time together today. And throughout the time, of course, like we've said before, keep posting in the chat box, and then I'm going to bring you guys on and off of sharing with the group. And before we get into the daily concepts, we're going to jump over to the page, bottom of page 3, ways I might sabotage, ways that you might sabotage. So I wanted to share those 6 ways so that you can be thinking on those. We've kind of dibbled and dabbled around them a little bit already. Can everybody hear Karen and I again, and everybody back in the room, just so we know, since we can't see any of you? we can just go on and on, just the 2 of us, but let's make sure somebody's here. So go ahead and type into the chat box if you are back and ready. And okay, good. Okay, so I'm going to share 6 ways that you might be sabotaging, and then you're going to get to pick which one feels the strongest or most familiar to you. And this is an important list, so write this down, type this up, whatever you need to do. Or maybe somebody can type them into the chat box as we're going along for us. So one of the ways you might sabotage is, number 1, waiting for perfection to launch, which of course is really related to our topic today, waiting for perfection to launch. All right. We do that. You know, I've worked with women that have been preparing to launch for like 5 years. And it's like, what in the world are you doing over there? You know, let's do something. So number 1, waiting for perfection to launch. Number 2, now these are going to start getting more uncomfortable. Number 2, distracting yourself with other things. And these might be amazing things, fantastic things, wonderful things. And they might be people, places, things, but they might not be the thing that you are being called to do. Waiting for distracting yourself with other things. Number 2. Number 3, feeling guilty. Now, we women feel guilty for everything, and things we don't need to be guilty about, and things that have nothing to do with us. And so number 3, feeling guilty. Number 4, making excuses or rationalizing why you're not in action. Making excuses or rationalizing why you're not in action. Number 5, overthinking yourself into paralysis. Overthinking yourself into paralysis. And number 6, so guilty, changing your mind about what you're doing. Oh, I'm going to do this. And then, I mean, just recently I was stuck on, what am I going to name this program? And then twist it all around, naming it this, naming it that. Oh, I can't do it that way. Oh, what if somebody else has that name? So changing my mind versus, you know, in this, I'll just tell the truth on myself. You know, a confused buyer doesn't buy. We know that, like every coach I've ever had has told me that a million times, and yet I still want to offer 10 different programs, retreats, opportunities, ways to get together with me. And, you know, that confuses people. So if you're confused about how I can help you, I apologize right now. I apologize because, you know, when I have 10 choices, lots of times you don't know which one to choose, so you don't choose any of them. And so what my new coach, you know, I always have a coach. We all need a coach. And if I'm your cup of tea, let's do this. We'll talk more about that as we go along. But, you know, what I need to get down to is 3 main ways, 3 primary ways that people can tap in to work with me. And it really comes down to the basics of small, medium, or large almost. You know, do we want a small way to work with me, a medium way, or like the biggest way ever to work with me? And that might be in dollar amounts. So, I mean, I know you guys are all in different types of fields. You know, and we've all a million times seen the funnel. You know, we've all been to the funnel, seen the funnel, you know, the free things, the low price things, the medium price things, and then the Cadillac down here at the bottom. But if we are changing our mind constantly about what that is, then the client doesn't even know, and then we don't know, and then nobody's buying anything. So just be aware of that. And I know I went off on a tangent, but go ahead and share into the chat room. Let's just start telling the truth. Which one or two, I mean, there's 2 or 3 of these that are really true for me. So what are 1 or 2 or 3 of these that you know you do? You just know it. You're going to tell the truth because that will set you free. What are a couple of the things that you know you are doing that actually sabotage you, your business, your health, your success, all of the above? Go ahead and write those in the room. Okay, Kim Hawkins says, I've done them all, but number 6 is one that keeps coming up again and again for me. Yes, me too. Me too. Waiting for perfection and making excuses all rolled in together. Yes. Okay, good. Who else? Who else wants to share their top 2 distractions or sabotages? And get those in here. Waiting for overthinking. Yes. Thank you, Angela. And keep posting those in here. And remember to, because nobody did this on the break, remember to post the link for your websites as we're going along. You're not being rude. We're asking you to do this. We're asking you to promote. That's what NACWE is about. That's why I created NACWE. I created NACWE because I was sitting alone in Wichita Falls, just crazy as a loon, and trying to figure all this stuff out, but I needed to find you. I wanted to find you, and I decided to create a platform so I could find you, which I'm so grateful for now, because if not, I would never know any of you. And we wouldn't be on this webinar, and we, you know, maybe you would have found another group. I don't know. But I'm grateful that God gave me the courage to not overthink back in 2010. And I like to get stuff done fast. The longer I have to get ready for something, the more I just doodle and dawdle around and don't do a darn thing. And so when I went to a training, this is a good story. So I went to, I had the idea of NACWE. I had the idea of creating this association. And for those of you that are not members, because I know there's some of you here that are not, what I'm talking about is NACWE.org. So Karen, if you can make sure you post that in there again. That's where we are right now. This is being hosted by NACWE. It's a global association for Christian women entrepreneurs who are all learning all this stuff together. And every single month, and every year and every month for 8 years now, we have been providing training, support, encouragement, mentoring, coaching, conferences, workshops, and all of the above. And so let's just, Karen, you and I give ourselves a high five. Hallelujah, girl. I sold NACWE to Karen in last spring, and so the legacy lives on. But when I decided to create NACWE, I'd had some ideas, some yearning, some churning, and then, of course, my first thought was, who am I to do that? That's crazy and ridiculous. And then, of course, I looked around and was jealous of a couple of my friends who were already doing great things and, you know, living their dream and all this. And then I again felt like God was saying, you can do this. You can do this. And so I bought a $5 book. I'm not kidding. I bought a $5 book from Cherie McConnell. I think it was called Successful Women Create Membership-Based Businesses. And then I read the book fast and signed up for all of her free programs, and then decided to go and invest in myself and invest in all of you, and went to the training. It was a one-day training called Create Your Network, Create Your Association, or something like that. And I went to this training, and I paid the money, and I got the, bought the package, people, because I knew I needed help. I knew I needed the coaching, the training. And so that was on April 20th. I want you to understand how, you know, we don't need to overthink stuff. April 20th of 2010. And I launched NACWE on what, May 11th? Okay, so not very many days after, there was a website, there was some content, there was some things set up. It's certainly nothing like it is today. I mean, we added things. I didn't know what was going to happen because, again, I didn't know if anybody was going to join me. So, but one day at a time, people did. One person, one member at a time. So you will definitely want to join NACWE if you're not a member, because it's got great value and 8 years of content and training that you get access to. And then you can come hang out with us at the conference too in September. Okay, so let me look. Everybody's posting their website. Yay, I'm so glad. And good, good, good. Okay, so now that you know some of the ways you sabotage, we're going to go back to, that's important for you to note. Let's go back to the handout on page, the beginning section here on page 1. Daily concepts for your mental toolkit. Daily concepts for your mental toolkit. And I'm going to share 7. I'm going to share 7, and I'm going to give lots of stories and examples, so you might need more room than this. If you do, hopefully you have blank paper in your life. Blank paper is our friend, so go grab that, because I want to take you through some of these important daily concepts that help me. All right, everybody ready? Okay, good. So number 1, I'm going to just call it slogans. And these are not, if you email me, I can send this to you. I've got a list of a lot of them, and you know, I didn't make these all up. You know, I'll just tell the truth. A lot of these, again, I'm always referencing things that I've learned in recovery world, things I've learned from counseling land, and just things you pick up along the way. So I'll give you some examples of these slogans. So one day at a time. There's a really great poem that's called Just for Today, and I have it on a bookmark, and I have it right here in front of my desk. These are slogans and concepts that keep me on track throughout the day. Another one is more will be revealed. Another one is progress, not perfection. Imagine that. Another one is do the next right thing. Do the next right thing. So what I think is the next right thing right now, in 2 hours from now, that might not be the next right thing, because I'm going to be in that moment right there with God, right there with me. Okay? That's where we can't live in the future and in the past. Do the next right thing. Simplify. So I'm just going to keep reading you some of these. Trust the process. These are all slogans. It is what it is. That's really about acceptance for me. Acceptance. Be still. It works if you work it. Like if I want my business to work, I've got to show up and do some work. If I want my recovery to work, I've got to go to recovery meetings. If I want to lose weight, guess what? I have to pay attention to my food every day, and maybe even exercise. And I'll show you how I've done that and changed my body this year as well. Let's see. Some of these are Bible verses, you know, be still. These are all little slogans. You know, some of them are going to be scriptures. Ask, seek, knock. You know, that's a verse. You know, many verses are used throughout the big book. You know, what is it? What the one that works not. I'm messing it up. But if you know which one I'm talking about, just jump in. Here's one of the ones I really, really love. Keep coming back. At the end of every single meeting, we hold hands, say the Lord's Prayer, and say, keep coming back. Because you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to need you guys again. Tomorrow I'm going to need to do all this again. Tomorrow I get to brush my teeth again. Tomorrow I'm going to probably put on face makeup again. And you know what? That's just maintenance. That's just life, you know, and we don't want, you know, here's the thing. Sometimes we're just lazy. We're lazy and we don't want to do the work. We don't want to do the work that's going to cause us miracles in our life. And so then we stop doing the work. But these are some of the daily principles that help me. And one that I didn't mention is called HALT: hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And so we have to pay it, that's when we do not want to go running down and get our hair cut. We don't want to make the phone call. We don't want to, sell our house that minute. If we're too hungry, angry, lonely, for the L, so it's called HALT. For the L, I also like to add in, sometimes I'm not lonely, but I feel left out. And if I'm feeling left out, that means I might do something that I wouldn't normally do. Hungry, angry, lonely, and then tired. If I'm tired, I'm not in the right mind. I'm not in the right progress, not perfection mindset. I can't help my client, and I can't help myself. And I have, and by the grace of God, we have businesses, most of us, where we can really, if I have been sick and awake all night, this doesn't happen that often, but every so often I need to call in sick for my life. We don't get built-in sick days as entrepreneurs. And so, but every so often, I would say, a couple times a year, I need to cancel my appointments. You know what? That's the miracle of working for yourself, that you can actually do that, right? So, or who has a slogan that keeps them on track? Go ahead and type that into the chat box. Type the slogans that you use throughout the day to keep you on track, or maybe even something like, I have lots of these right across from me. Be still. It is well with my soul. Dream big. What you want wants you. Hope. There we go. Hope. Yes, hope. Right here in front of me, I have my word for the year, peace. Whoops, peace. And these are things that you'll just want to surround yourself with. So go ahead and type in there any of the slogans that you really lean on. And then we're going to get back to our number 2. Okay. So let's just keep on going, because you guys are out there doing your deal. All right. So the second daily concept. So number 1 was slogans. Number 2, there we go. Implement, I'm enough, conquer today. Yes. Number 2, I'm going to just, we're going to clump a lot of these together. Routines, practices, systems. Routines, practices, systems. And again, I'm sharing with you my journey, my experience, strength, and hope, some of the things that work for me. If you have other ideas, great, fantastic. Use what works, leave the rest. Take what works, leave the rest. Routines, practices, and systems. I have a lot of these. I have, I build my life around these routines, practices, and systems so that then I can have freedom in between all that. And go with the flow and be spontaneous, because I'm an ENFJ/P. I like all these plans and systems and planners. And then I also I'm half J, half P on Myers-Briggs. I need to take it again. But half of me wants to be spontaneous and fun, woohoo, and then half of me wants to have it all planned and control everything and tell you what to do, when to do it. And so the people that have worked with me have been challenged in that experience. But part of those routines, practices, and systems include when I go to meetings each week, when I coach my clients. Time blocking is a system. I coach my clients on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, and now I have a local office. My plan is to see clients at my local office in Grapevine Wednesdays and Fridays, so that I'm not running here and there and everywhere, because we can't do that. So routines, practices, and systems. I have systems in my day planner that help me. I have a program called Time Trade, where clients can set up appointments and then cancel or reschedule. I have my morning routines and rituals. I have my nightly routines and rituals. But these are what I would call part of my mental toolkit. Includes these to keep me sane, safe, sober, and sassy, I would say. I have, so we mentioned the time blocking. So let me ask you, what are some of the routines, practices, and systems that you can share here in the group? And let's bring one person on the call. So who has a routine or a practice or a system that helps you? And we'll just have time for one person to share right now.
If nobody pops in, I'm popping in.
Pop in, Karen.
So one of the big jokes for Diane and I when we were working together is she lives in Word documents and I live in Excel files. So we were constantly sending each other stuff and saying, can you send this to me in a whatever? I mean, I literally kind of live my life inside of an Excel file, and it just guides my day, and I've got my plans. I know that the plans, I've sometimes written some of those plans in gray instead of black to remind myself it might change. And that's okay, that I need to be somewhat flexible. Yesterday, during a coaching block of time when nobody showed up and I knew they weren't going to, I took Jeff to the movies, you know. So, but if you looked at my Excel planner, you'll see me writing in there, we didn't have this meeting today, I took Jeff to the movies instead. I just live inside my Excel files. My planner is in my files. I mean, whatever I know that not Diane that would drive her crazy. She would be like, no, I'm not going to write down every 30-minute increment, you know, I went to the bathroom. You know, I'm not going to do it. So it just depends on us, I think. I'm glad you said that. Whatever works for you, time blocking, the calendars, the scheduler. Anybody else popping in? Somebody?
Yeah, who else wants to pop in on this? This is good stuff. This is good stuff. And then we'll keep going down
Anita
the list.
uses Miracle Morning, the savers, the acrostic savers. Anita, tell us, if you can, what those are again. I don't remember. But I've done that. When Anita talked about doing that every morning, I tried it and it worked for me, but I don't remember the acrostic.
It's from the book, The Miracle Morning, and there are different versions of that book for different types of worker people. Like there's one for network marketers, one for real estate people and all that. But basically The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And SAVER stands for silence, affirmations, exercise, visualization, reading, and scribing. Silence can be meditation or prayer or whatever. And then affirmations, visualizations, just visualizing you being successful in your day, what you're going to do, just, you know, visualize yourself doing it well. And then obviously any kind of exercise for any amount of time is good. Just kind of start your day that way. Some people do it for a couple minutes, but some people do an hour at the gym or whatever works for you.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Thank you, Anita. Silence, affirmation, and Karen typed those in. I have that book as well. Thank you so much for reminding us of that. And as we go along, I'm going to be telling you about a couple other books here too. And if any of this, I mean, nothing here is new. Let's just put that out here. Nothing that we say is new, brand new, fancy, shiny. It's just how are you using it? How has it helped you today? And then how can you make it a pattern, a routine, a system in your life? Good stuff right there. So I have a calendar. I don't do Excel spreadsheet. I did actually make one to, you'd be proud of me, Karen. I made one. My husband helped me to keep track of the Brave Living group that I've been talking to lots and lots of women about. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like a real businesswoman right now. Even though I've been in business for 15, 20 years. But like I made this, have a chart. But here, you'll love this, Karen. And I'm just going to come running over here. In addition to that, I also made like a giant chart because I'm very visual. Like I can't see it. It's on that tiny Excel.
I'm thinking, of course you did.
I know. Of course I did.
I love it. I do that too. You taught me well. I actually do both.
Yeah, so whatever works for you. I mean, whether that's Post-it notes on a giant board. Many of you have been to my training about the brain board. I'm going to go run and grab that. It's just right here so that you can see what that means. Because you know what? If your brain works better, like bigger, then do it.
Yeah.
If your brain works better, smaller, be okay being you. And this is a whole separate training, but this is what I call the brain board. I also have it just an 8.5 by 11. But this is the one I've been using probably for 5 years. And it's blank. I get to fill it in with Post-it notes. Let me just come up here. And it shows me in a glance. I mean, I have my big wall calendar. So just on a side note section here. I have a giant wall calendar right there somewhere. Don't ignore the 5 drinks and Coke, waters and cookies and everything. But I have a giant wall calendar, and then I have a monthly calendar. And then I have this big one that I'm planning to, I need to know on here when is the Heart Art Retreat? When is the Brave Adventure trip? When is the trips I'm going on personally with my husband? And when do I have a book launch, or when so I need to see all that more in categories. And like, I have one of my clients who is, she's many of you are grandmas. She has on there, we're adding sections at the very bottom on there for family birthdays. Okay, let's see when all these darn birthdays are. So you can use this in any old way. If you want this in a PDF, I need you to email me. So Diane at DIANE Cunningham, I posted it in there a little while back. I mean, I would easily send this to you. I have it in a PDF on a Word doc. It's not Excel. It could be Excel, but, and then you can take it and print it very large. What I did with that is I got it printed very large and then laminated. This is what you can do down at Staples. It's a miracle. And then just put it on a giant thicker board from Hobby Lobby that's like $7. And the darn thing has been through all around with me. And I use, I'm old school. I don't online calendar. I mean, I have Time Trade for my clients. This is one of my systems. But I use Franklin Covey still. And I use the spiral bound version now, where I can see my week at a glance all up and down like this, so that I can see when I'm exercising, when I'm going to meetings, when I'm meeting with clients. And then I also have little insert ones that are the monthly. So this is where my to-do lists and things are, and my daily roster. So whatever works for you. If you're a online type of calendar girl, routine, practice systems. So that was number 2. Number 3, if you're still able to track with us and follow along, is prayers and meditations. I probably should have put this as number 1, and I apologize to all of you. But prayers and meditations are a part of it. They always are. It's a given. It's like throughout the day I'm praying. Throughout the day I'm asking God for help. Throughout the day I'm learning to actually listen. What I've learned is that prayer is me talking to God. Meditation is me listening to God. It's listening. It's actually spending 5 minutes in silence. Jim and I just went to an AA Al-Anon conference in Crested Butte. Amazing. The most amazing thing I've experienced in a long time. 733 people in recovery and their families, children, wives, sisters, brothers. And the entire conference, we each paid $100. That's it. But every morning there was a meditation meeting. And so it was 20 minutes in silence and prayer. 20 minutes. And, that was uncomfortable. That's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to sit in silence because we want to talk, or we want to go move, or, I've had a lot of back problems recently, and it's, it's uncomfortable for me to sit that long, or just even to be still. But there's, this is a practice. This is a behavior, a piece of my toolkit. So that's number 3. And number 4, tracking. This is one of my favorite ones. Pretty excited to get here. Number 4, tracking. So I track everything. They're not in Excel spreadsheets, but they could be. And I'm going to show you some of the things I track that have helped. And these might be helpful to you as well. So again, take what works, leave the rest. A couple years ago, I started tracking my income. Imagine that as a businesswoman, you might need to know how much is coming in. And I know I've got what's it called? Not Outlook. I've got accounting systems and things now, but I didn't have those before, and I needed a visual way, kind of just very simple almost like pencil and paper to track. And so every single year I have I've got a couple little mini calendars here. They're the same size I just showed you. And so this is my money tracker. So every dollar that comes in, I keep track of that right here. And at the front of the book, I have a year-to-date running roster. So I can see how much came in January, how much came in February, and then what's the total as I'm going through the year. This has been powerful for me. My coach a couple years ago, Kadina, taught me to do this. I'm still doing this. So this is my money tracking system. I also this year had another calendar like this, and you'll see the colors in here. So in here, and I've kept this up. I mean, so I'm completely up to date in here, except I need to write in yesterday. I keep track of what days I exercise in here and how much or what, and I keep track of my AAOA Al-Anon meetings, so that I can see at a glance, here's my June. Here's, when I went to meetings, when I exercised. Because my mind, we call it having a quick forgetter. A quick forgetter. I can easily forget and think, oh, I just exercised. Like, oh, no. That was like a week and a half ago. So I keep track. I write down every piece of food I eat. I write down my food. I've lost 18 pounds since January. So part of that is tracking and accountability. So I'm going to show you the way I track that as well. Is this helpful? Let me just pause and say, is this helpful, these systems? Okay. I track those. I also went online. There's, and we can post the link to this on a break. I mean, there's lots of free printable habit trackers. You can buy one, you can make one. I mean, this is a free one I found on some lady's website, Habit Tracker. And that's really a popular thing in bullet journaling. And if you don't know what any of these things are that we're talking about, Google is your friend. Google is a good girl. I also track, this is my food plan tracker. Everybody see that? Very simple. If you want any of these things, the brain board, let's list them. If you want the brain board, you need to email me and say, I want brain board. If you want food plan tracker, email me and say, I want the food plan tracker. These are very simple. You can create these yourself too in a Word doc. Because I create the things I need. And then I share them with my clients, my colleagues, my friends. So every single day, part of my weight journey this last year, because I mentioned this at the beginning, my first addiction was food long before alcohol came into my world. And so food is now on what I've been dealing with. I got rid of the alcohol 5 years ago. But when you get rid of one thing, other things will pop up. I love to shop, and I love to, for a while I was addicted to dating. Now I'm not, because I'm married. But then the food started rising up, and I would overeat, or actually I was obsessed with dieting. I got really obsessed with finding the right plan, right system, the right program, book, product, and I was all caught up in that a lot actually last year as I was getting ready to sell NACWE. So a lot of my stress was being distracted. I was like diverting it over into, let's lose weight for your wedding. Let's do this, and so all of that energy was getting focused over there. And so by the time I got to kind of a crisis point, it was October. And that was when I looked online, amazingly enough. I've been to Overeaters Anonymous off and on my whole life. And like gotten, felt like it wasn't the right fit, didn't want to go, kind of weird people. But you know what? Weird people are my people, and there's weird people everywhere I go anyway. And so when you finally are ready, the teacher will appear. Write this down. This is kind of I actually wrote it down. I've heard it many, many times. What you want wants you. What you want wants you. There's people that want me as a coach. There's people that need exactly what you offer. What you want wants you and is looking for you. Wants you and is looking for you. So I use this to write down my food, my snacks and all that every single day. And every single morning, I actually text my food plan to my sponsor. And at first I didn't want to do that. It was ridiculous. I mean, who the heck needs to do that? I don't have time for that. All those excuses and drama. Let's see. Can you take care of that? Thank you. Okay, got it. So I finally got willing to do that, to send in my food plan every day, and that, you know what, that's what made the change. So I would call that tracking and willingness. And so those are just some of the systems that I use for tracking. The number 5 is writing. This is a tool in my toolkit that I use daily. Sometimes daily, oftentimes weekly, but a constant in my life. A tool in my toolkit is writing. That is journaling. That is, all these little things I've shown you. Tracking the food, writing that down. Writing down every single time I go to church or go to a meeting, I take notes. I mean, you guys have all seen me with my little journals and notebooks, because it's how I learn. I took notes on every seminar that I went to at that Crested Butte retreat. So writing is a tool in my toolkit that helps me not be a quick forgetter. It helps me to lock something in, anchor it. It anchors it in. And you might be asking right now, what does all this have to do with our business? This all has to do everything with your business. I write down, I have file folders for every client. I keep track of what we're talking about, dealing with. That's an important piece. So number 5 in my toolkit is writing. Journaling, you don't have to journal every day. Your journal can look completely weird, different, whatever it wants to look like. You can have an art journal, a bullet point journal, a Excel spreadsheet journal. You can have any kind of journal you want, but the tool of writing is a gift from God for you. And it will help you when no one is there, and you can write letters to God. You can sort things out before you blurt things out. That might be a quote for the day. Number 6 is movement, exercise. And I have learned that that's really, I exercise almost every day. And I couldn't walk for a while. I don't know if you guys all know so I have a herniated disc. And it started really, really, really hurting in May. And my back has hurt for probably 20 years. I just thought everybody's back hurt, no big deal. And, I can't sit in certain ways, and I have to move, I'm like a wiggle worm, I guess. But like it really, really, really started hurting in May. So much so that, many of you know I did a half marathon in November. I do 5Ks. I do these things. So I couldn't even walk half a mile without crying in my own neighborhood. And it was so painful that as soon as I would get home, I would have to lay on the floor on an ice pack. And I actually have I have many, many ice packs now. I've got one right here that I had on earlier today. Most days since I've started getting help, and I didn't want, I'm a strong, tough woman, and pain doesn't do me, and I don't live in pain and all that. But you know what? Pain is for real. And so I couldn't walk for that long, and then it got so bad that I couldn't stand. So like we would go, like going to the grocery store, by halfway I would think I was fine and go to the grocery store, and then about halfway through I would be limping through the grocery store and only really able to stand on the one left leg because the other leg was so very painful. So finally went and got an MRI and found out about this herniated disc experience, and then have gotten 2 spinal steroid injections, and it's been so much of a miracle. But the gift is that now I'm able to move again. I was able to walk the entire time. We were really worried about going to Crested Butte, Colorado, but we did good. I did good, and I probably will never run again. And I've had to accept that. And, little by little, over the last few years, it's become much more of just walking because it would hurt. And I didn't know why. But now I understand why. And acknowledgement is important, and then acceptance. If I can accept that I have food issues, or that I have a back situation, or that, that I need, that I don't drink alcohol like other people, then I can set myself free. I can do something different. Progress, not perfection. Progress, not perfection in my walking, in my healing, in my business. So number 6 is that movement. And then 7 is giving back. Giving back. Because part of my mental toolkit is that it's not about me all the day long. Part of my giving back is right here, right now with you for 3 hours. Part of my giving back is the 5 women that I help walk through recovery for free, because I want to, because somebody gave back to me, because I want to give what has been so freely given. Now, we've got to make sure, definitely, and I've heard it said from another program, let's say we are tithing 10% of our money. I've also heard to tithe 10% of your time. Tithe 10% of your time. And that's an interesting concept to consider. Where are you giving back? Out of the gifts of your heart, what you know, how God made you, where can you do that? Pay it forward and share your experience, strength, and hope. So while we take a little moment here, any ahas? I would like to hear 2 people that we haven't heard from yet, maybe, that are here. Or if you can't talk, if you're in your office or workplace, type into the group anything related to these mental toolkits that you'd love to share. And you can wave at us. Kim, did you want to share Hawkins? No? Okay. Anybody want to come off of mute and share any ahas from this part of our training? We've got a lot more training to do. Goodness. Janie, you want to share?
Basically just that I'm not doing half of these things. I need to do more of all of these, but I feel like I'm just like so busy with everything in my life going on, and I just don't take time out to journal or exercise or, I do pray and meditate a lot, but and I say a lot, I don't like take time out or block time for it, and I need to do more of that. So.
Well, thank you for your honesty, and I'm sure you're not the only one in the room. And so I would, here's how I would frame this for all of us, because we don't do all this overnight. You're gonna. So what can I do today? Just for today, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna focus on this one behavior, one habit, or adapting my schedule, because for me, when it becomes they say 28 days to become a habit. That's not true for me. I need more. That's why I love programs that are 90 days. When I first got into recovery, they said 90 meetings in 90 days. And I said, who are you kidding? I'm an entrepreneur. I don't have time for that. And all of you are the same, right? Well, guess what? I did have time for that. Who knew? I went every single night, because you know what? I used to drink for 1 or 2 or 3 hours every night. So I'm pretty sure I could make it for 1 hour down to the little meeting down the street. So lots of times we're dawdling, we're doodling, we're staring at our papers around on the desk. And I've learned that my 30 minutes down there on the elliptical is going to help me much more than 30 minutes here staring at Facebook. I can stare at Facebook actually down on the elliptical, and I do, and I post. I actually can catch up with a lot of things on that darn elliptical. But I have to get used to that, and I have to get kind of used to just driving down that way and going, and comfortable and used to, and that takes more than 28 days for me. Anything else, Janie, or anybody else want to share on these 7? Do anybody else need to tell the truth, that what they need to add or change?
Marcia's got upper respiratory infection. She's not speaking out loud, but she said that is a cute cliche, but it doesn't work for her either. 21 days does not create a habit for her. I totally get that. But you know what I mean, so one of them was routines, practices, and systems, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm just thinking, my takeaway, when we take a break, I'm going to walk and I'm going to kind of think through this. There's got to be one of these that I feel takes priority for me and needs to be incorporated into. I mean, I have a pretty good routine and system. I know how to block time off. I have a schedule. It's on an Excel file, for crying out loud, but I need to implement so many of these 7 things into that plan. It's not in there. So no wonder it doesn't happen.
Right. Yeah. And again, I mean, this is the entire thing we're talking about here is progress, not perfection. So if I miss it, and that's what so here's one of the things my sponsor has taught me. It's all information. Okay, that sounds so simple. I'm going to say it again. It's all information. So the way I've lost 18 pounds this year is I've learned what works for me, my body. And I've also learned by eating certain things that didn't work. And like feeling uncomfortable, feeling sick, feeling yucky, feeling sluggish. And that was all information. Or like if just not putting labels. God doesn't have a label maker up there that says good or bad. God doesn't have one. We create that. I create that saying that blank is wrong or bad or this or that, and put labels on you and me and everybody. So if I can remove the label and just look at it, it's all information. What did I learn today about the food I ate, or what happened with my business or my marriage or whatever that is? It's all information. Then I'm removing a lot of my self-sabotage. I'm stopping the pattern of beating myself up. If I made a mistake, okay, back on the saddle next hour, today, right now, not 5 days from now, not Monday, and not January. Like, no, it's today. I'm not waiting till Monday. If I need a do-over, that's right this minute. Because I'm the one that lives with myself and looks in the mirror. And God is with me right here today. I don't have to wait till Monday to talk to God. Hello? So anyway, getting on my system. Anybody else want to share anything here? Kim Hawkins.
Not knowing what all you would talk about, I've been talking in the group about using a planner, even if it's not the one that we're creating. And one of the things that I had talked about was, write everything down, do a brain dump, just write everything down, even if it's not something you're going to put on the calendar per se, but it gets those things out of your head and into your line of vision, your line of attack for that week. And it was funny not knowing what you were going to talk about. I mentioned a lot of these things about tracking things and going back, and you look back at the week before, where are you with this? And if it's not written down or noted or, acknowledged in some way, then you just forget about it. It doesn't happen. They say what gets scheduled gets done. So, but you got to look at it. Look at what you scheduled.
That's exactly it. Thank you so much, Kim. And I know it's time for break. I'm going to share briefly 2 more things, and then we're going to take a break. I'm going to try to spell this right. Hold on a second. I'm typing it into the chat box. I think I spelled that wrong. Sorry. Restless, irritable, discontent. One of the things I want you to really begin to pay attention. Can somebody correct that for me? Thank you. I'm trying to type, talk, and teach at the same time. It's not my gifting. One of the things I want you to really listen to for yourself. No one's going to be able to do this for you. But whenever we get restless, irritable, or discontent, we act out. And most times that's going to be with some sort of thing that's going to cause you to have ease and comfort. And so like that used to be drinking for me. So like I would be like, I'm ready for a drink. Okay, then for a while I was like, okay, let's go get nachos. It's time for a burger. And so I've had to learn, that's not the way I was handling those feelings, restless, irritable, and discontent. I have to watch out for those feelings because they can lead me astray. They can make me kind of choose things that if I'm not in that place, it's called emotional sobriety. So if I'm emotionally sober and spiritually fit, which means, which for me means a lot of these pattern, systems are kind of moving along. They're not perfect, but they're in process. Then I'm going to have a less of a tendency to act out in a way that is going to be harmful to me, which eventually means harmful to my clients, which means harmful to my family, which means harmful to my money, to my business. Makes sense? Kind of, it's that ripple effect of either I'm taking good care of me or I'm not taking good care of me, and guess what? You're going to get the mean me because I have been, I'm mad at myself, really. I'm really mad at myself. So instead of dealing with that, I'm going to be mad at everybody else. Mooyah, yes. They have a burger I still do go eat with just no bun. Okay, quickly, I'm going to just cover this, and we're taking a break because we've got lots more to teach. The cycle of change. I mentioned this on what page? 4, I think. The stages of change, page 3. Top of page 3. We're not going to spend much time on this. I have a graphic chart that we can grab. It's a PDF. I didn't create it. I'm not going to take credit. But it's called the cycle of change, or sometimes it's called the stages of change. And it's important that we talk about this because this is what we've been mentioning all along. Pre-contemplation is the first stage, first part of that cycle. And that's no intention of changing our behavior. No intention of changing our behavior. Then we get to contemplation. We are aware of a problem. So we are aware that we might not be doing self-care, but we have no commitment to the action. No commitment. Okay, that's contemplation. Then preparation. We have made the person is intent on taking action to correct the problem. Usually requires buy-in from the client and increased self-efficacy. So we're beginning to take action to address this change. So let's say that means you've actually gone to the gym to see how much it costs to join the gym. You're preparing, you're mentally preparing. And then action modification of the behavior. So this is when you're actually doing the change. You're doing the change. I'm driving down and going to the meeting every day. I'm going to the elliptical. I'm beginning to create that habit. I'm in the midst of this. I'm active in the modification of my own behavior. I'm sending the text to my sponsor. I'm doing the thing. Maintenance, sustained change. New behavior replaces old. And this process is going constantly. This is used a lot in addictions treatment and relapse and recovery environments, but I believe this affects our businesses. This affects everything because we're always going to be in this process of change. You might be thinking of, I know Karen's in the midst of a big change with Fred's business, or Fred's work style. So there was a pre-contemplation before that ever happened, then the contemplation, then the preparation, and then action maintenance. And so lots of us we stay in maintenance, hopefully, but then there's always a relapse. There's a relapse, and that's where most of us say, oh, I failed. This is where we get into the black and white thinking. We fall back into the old patterns of behavior. Well, guess what? That's when we get to start again. And every day, it's all information. It's all information. So this is helpful to me. I keep it actually on my bulletin board across the wall. I do some teaching about this because I think it's helpful to know that it's just not like overnight we're going to change our whole life. So let's go ahead and do a 10-minute.
Okay, let me get my timer set. It worked last time. But that's so powerful, but I'm the person who at the very minute of the relapse says, I've failed, this is impossible, I can't do this. I don't always give myself permission to start again, to get back into do they say something about the fact that cycle goes a little smoother as time goes on and as you
I mean, I believe it does, just based on my own experience with food in the last 6 months, 7 months. You know, that I'm gonna, you know, get, like, I know what's gonna make me more at peace, and I want peace. I want peace more than I want you know, the whatever, fill in the blank. And so I'm much more willing to ask for help too. I mean, I think there's a piece of our ego where we want to do all of this by ourselves. But I can't do any of it by myself.
And do it perfectly, you know, as if to say, well, if I failed, then I can't even do this again, or
yes,
you know, I can't do it well enough. It's very good. It's very helpful. Okay, 10-minute break.
10 minutes.
Get up and move it, move it, move it.
All right, bye.
Okay. Yay!
Yeah. Yes, yay. Anything you want to share before we dive back in?
Anything do I want to share before we dive back in?
Yes.
I think, I went for a walk. I went and got the mail. I emptied the trash. I moved. I was trying to move and think about which of those things I would start with. And I think I'm not sure I'm going to look at it again because I didn't want to mess with my computer screen because, it's very important that you can see that 10-minute timer, right?
Yes.
Good heavens. But I think it's the tracking. And I'm already opening an Excel file every day on my laptop. Why don't I, implement a few tracking things in there that will encourage me, keep me going. And so we're losing Angela. She's on vacation. They're in Florida.
Okay.
So they're going to run off and have lunch with friends. Kim walked to the mailbox and around a few blocks. So her Fitbit won't nag her during the next session. I know it vibrates and says, you need to move, Mine too. I'm trying to keep walking on mine until I reach that X number of steps.
Yes.
Let's see. And I'll back up just a little bit and say, I think, I'm such an Excel person. There's the perfectionism. Everything has to be in a little box. And just your reminder of showing your brain boards and sticky notes, Post-it notes in different colors and all of that was just an encouragement to me. And so you didn't ask me to do this, but I'm going to plug. You still have spaces for the Heart Art Retreat, right?
Yes, Heart Art Retreat. Mm-hmm.
So, that's one of the things I think you thought me to do. I know Annette has a Heart Art Retreat testimony that goes, spread throughout her whole family like wildfire as well. But my testimony is that that's one of the things that you have us do. There's always a sticky note on the wall somewhere with my name on it. There's always color, markers, Post-it notes, pens and papers and various things. And thinking, it gets me to think outside the box about everything that I'm doing. Back to square one when you just talked about just adjusting your mindset. I think one of the reminders I think I needed for today is get some color, get some markers, get some Post-it notes, put things on the wall instead of on a box, on an Excel file on your laptop. So thank you. I'm just anxious to see where I take myself after our last part of the session today. So anybody else want to pop in with your aha moments while you're on your break?
Yeah. Anybody else want to come share? I did get a text from Mindy. She can't talk. She's at work, but she said, girl, you're killing it. This is so encouraging and helpful. Thanks for including me. So thank you so much for being here, Mindy. It's good to hang out with you like this.
Now, some of the comments before we went on break was they're just ripple effects, and how widespread this is going to be. Kim Smith said it's easier to tell someone else to get back on the horse and ride than to jump up there ourselves. So
it is. Yeah. So, all right, girls, let's just dive back in because there's going to be some pieces of this that you need to do. I love to give you questions in the middle, and I want to honor our time. So we are going to do the mentors table, but first thing I want to share is there's one of the powerful books that I have gotten this last year is called Triggers by Marshall Goldsmith. And creating behavior that lasts, becoming the person you want to be, triggers. And I actually was so inspired by one whole section. I typed it up and I found that this morning. And, I like the last minute. I'm at my very best at the last moment. And so I'm just going to read these 15 things to you. And so if somebody can just scribe this up. These are some of the belief triggers that mess us up. And these are from this book. And so powerful book about just how hard it is to change, how very, very hard it is for us to change, and how we have to trigger ourselves into the new behavior. Because our 45, actually almost 46, my birthday's Friday, I've got 46 years of history of doing it this way. That's how we did it. That's how our family does it. That's how our, you know, and you know, you do it completely differently and you're fine. So like, why do I think this is the only way? So belief triggers. Number 1, if I understand, I will do. If I understand, I will do. Number 2, I have willpower and I won't give in to the temptation. So these are all lies and mental gyrations we do. Yeah, I have willpower and I won't give in to temptation. Well, you might. 3, today is a special day. Today is a special day, which I used to believe every Saturday is not a special day. That doesn't mean you get to go off your food plan. You know, I learned that my food plan goes with me even if I go on vacation. Like that, today is not a special day. 4, at least I'm better than ... At least I'm better than blank. And you know, we all do this. At least I'm better than her, him, them. You know, our lawn is better than theirs. Okay, we're all right. We're okay. Number 5, I shouldn't need help and structure. I shouldn't need help and structure. I'm better than that. I'm smarter than that. You know, all these things we say. Number 6, I won't get tired and my enthusiasm will not fade. I won't get tired and my enthusiasm will not fade. These are so powerful. That's why I had to type these out. Number 7, I have all the time in the world. I have all the time in the world. I've got time to do this. You know, why would I need to get it done today? I've got all the time in the world. Number 8, I won't get distracted and nothing unexpected will occur. I mean, these are just hilarious to me. I won't get distracted and nothing unexpected will occur. Of course you're going to be distracted. And of course, unexpected things will occur. Number 9, an epiphany will suddenly change my life. Like, okay, if I read this book, my life will change. If I go to this workshop, if I go to this conference, will change my life. Of course, the NACWE conference will change my life. An epiphany will suddenly change my life. You know, number 10, my change will be permanent and I will never have to worry again. My change will be permanent and I will never have to worry again. If that was the case, then I wouldn't have had, you know, clothes in every shape and size in my closet. From 203 down to anorexia, Diane, 122. That, like, the change is not permanent. And that's one of the miracles I've really learned about recovery and living in recovery land. There's people that come to meetings every day and they've been sober for 30 years. And at first you think, what in the world is wrong with them? Do they not have anything to do all day? But I've learned, you know, I still go to 3 or 4 meetings a week. I've got 5 years of sobriety and recovery. Sometimes I'm there because there's somebody else that needs me there. And I don't know what day that day will be. But sometimes I'm there because I desperately am in a panic. And I've had, you know, like I said, we had our first fight. It was not pretty for me. And so I needed help. I needed help, a lot of help those days. So my change is not permanent. All I have is a daily, one day at a time reprieve from overeating, binging, and debt and everything else. Number 11, my elimination of old problems will not bring on new ones. Guess what? If you're still alive, you're going to get a new problem. As soon as you finish this one, a new one's coming. Number 12, my efforts will be fairly rewarded. My efforts will be fairly rewarded. You know, if I work hard, I'm going to make a lot of money. Or if I, you know, if I start exercising, I'm going to lose all this weight. I'm going to change all these things. If I go to counseling, it'll save my marriage. You know, all that. My efforts will be fairly rewarded. Number 13, no one is paying attention to me. No one is paying attention to me. And oftentimes we act out badly to get attention. And we all know in family units that happens. There's the one that's like the problem, but really it's everybody's the problem. Everybody's the problem. And number 14, if I change, I am inauthentic, meaning, oh, well, this is how I am. You know, I'm fun, spontaneous, this and that. If I start using Excel tracking systems, I won't be fun anymore. I will not be the real Diane. And number 15, a powerful one to end on. I have the wisdom to assess my own behavior. Well, most all the successful people I know have a coach. I have a coach, counselors, 2 sponsors, and go to lots of support groups. And I also have friends that call me out on my nonsense. And so I don't falsely believe anymore that I have the wisdom to assess my own behavior. I need input on the good side and on the feedback side. I need you to look into my life and say, well, Diane, here's what I see. Because I am inaccurate in how I see myself, both on the positive, and that goes back to being right-sized. I can think I'm the best thing ever, and I can think that I've never done one great thing ever in my whole life. And so I need all of you, and I need some wise counsel in speaking into me to help me assess. So that's those from the belief triggers, and wanted to make sure I told you about that book. Let me see here. Okay, good. Thank you for getting all those typed up. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and turn over to, there's page number 4 with some questions. And we're just going to go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. We're going to do this fast. Do not overthink. Do not race around the house. We're just going to write down a few things in each of these sections. I'm going to set my timer for 2 minutes and just write a few things down about action steps. And we're going to think about, today's the last day of July. So I want you to pay attention to August. There's 31 days in that. So write down some things you're going to do personally, business, mindset, and commitments. Ready, set, go. Okay, I know that was short, but I want to make sure we have time for the other exercises. So I do want 2 or 3 of you to share. And you can share any part of this that you want to. So who wants to volunteer? And if you can't talk, go and type these into, so Kim Hawkins was going to go first. If you can't share out loud while you are where you are, like Mindy, go ahead and just type some of these into the group, some of the action steps and mindsets. So go ahead, Kim.
Okay, for my business action steps, I just did 2. I'm in a blog, And I'm going to continue doing my Facebook Lives. I've been doing one every Monday, and that seems to be working. And on my personal action steps, I just got my Fitbit, so I want to do my 10K a day. My goal was to do it every day for the month of August, my birthday gift to me. So, and I want to start doing a weekly menu planning. My husband and I, because we're in tiny living, we tend to just do a few days at a time, but I think if I can start doing a whole week at a time, it'll be a little less stressful and a little less hustle with that. So, and then I need to let go of the idea that because I'm tired all the time that I don't need to go to sleep. It doesn't matter if I sleep or not. I need to go to sleep. Turn off everything and go to sleep.
Yes.
So that's all I got in that time.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing. Who else wants to share? And welcome, Rhoda. We glad to have you here. I think, do we need to put, okay, she's on mute. Who else wants to share out loud, verbally, either on the phone or on video? Diane Sawyer, Kim, Marcia, Annette. Marcia says, business, plan my day better. Mindy, can you type into the, okay, Diane can't talk, business, here we go. I will bite the bullet and get a camera. Oh, get on camera. Share the why of our store, share my story, be authentic and engage with customers. Good, yes, excellent. And Marcia said, personal, continue walking 2 miles each day, 4 times per week. Excellent. Anybody else? Annette, can you share on the phone? I'm not sure where you are, but anything you want to, okay, there she said. Main comment I wanted to share is that everything I wrote was only things that pertain to me instead of things I need to do for others. Well, that's a big bravo right there. Hello? Okay. You know, it's one sidebar, and Karen wrote business, track, touch, teach. Yes. I mean, the tracking has changed my life. And so, you know, it can seem silly and, you know, but like keeping track in that specific calendar that's just for that thing for me helps me to know that, and helps me to see it at a glance. I need to be able to see it at a glance and to remember, okay, because then at the end of the month, I've been able to add it up. Okay, I actually exercised 20 times out of 30, 20 days out of 30. That's a big deal in my world. And I want to learn how to be consistent, not, you know, remember the title of our talk, progress, not perfection. We're working on the bigger picture. Here's what changed for me too. Like, I am not on a 30-day diet. I'm on a lifestyle. I have changed my life, and my body is catching up to that. My body is recovering and transitioning, and I don't need to get there in a week or 30 days, and I don't need to have a magic potion to do that. God is doing that, and I am doing that. We're doing that just together, just for today, one day at a time. And that's how you're going to change your business. You're going to change your business by showing up. One of the talks at the retreat was, you know, God's in charge of the pattern. My job is to show up and do the stitches every day. And so this man talked about his insurance agency, and like, it was okay. He was kind of flailing and flopping around, and then he made the commitment to actually go to his job and do the work every day. Like, do the work. And like, they reached out to him, the local newspaper reached out to him and said, gosh, you know, we want to interview you, find out how you turned your company around. Because then it won all these awards. And he said, well, you know, surprisingly enough, I just came to work. I came to work. I did the work. I went on sales calls. I went to lunch. And then I came back to my office and I did the work. And I showed up. And, you know, I'm sure there was some tracking going on of all that. Lots of times we want to think we're doing the work. We pretend we're doing the work, or we're talking about doing the work, but we're not actually doing the work with our butt in the seat. And one of the powers of having a coach is you actually, like, right before you meet with them, you do a bunch of work, and you have to, and you send it all in. And that for me is helpful because I need that accountability. Because left to my own devices, I mean, I can get all over the place, distracted. And so let's see, anybody else here? Just make some decisions, get rid of the magic potion, half measures avail me nothing, yes ma'am. Journal book, let's see, tracking, personal goal, get back on track with my eating plan, mindset, prioritize for less distractions. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so in honor of our time, I wanted to get to these questions first, and then I want to do an exercise. Let's go back 2 pages, because we've already done stages of change and sabotage. And this is going to be a real simple answer. The evolution of your business. Okay, so this is the top of page 2. This was an aha moment for me a couple of months ago. And like I said, it's going to be very simple, but I just write this down. Your clients want the evolution of you. I'm going to say that again. Your clients want the evolution of you. The evolution of you. So I'm a different woman than I was when I created NACWE. Completely different. I mean, I'm married to a different man. I live in a different place. I was drinking then. I'm sober now. Different. And so if I keep trying to go back to the Diane of a year ago, 7 years ago, 15 years ago, it's not serving the clients that are called to work with me. And same thing for all of you. You all, if you want to be with me, you want the Diane of today. I want the Karen that has learned something from yesterday and this morning. I want that Karen. I want that Kim, Marsha, Mindy, Annette, Diane, Rhoda. I want to know what you found out about yourself and your clients and your business today and yesterday. I don't want your regurgitated 2-year-old, and this is, I'm going to call myself out. I have a lot of content and material. I've been creating it. For a long time. I've got books, program systems, handouts, worksheets, all this other stuff. But you know what? You don't want the one I created 3 years ago. You've already seen it. We've used it. It's old. And yet the easy thing for me is to use that one again, right? That's the easy thing for me to do. But I have to be called to a higher level because I want to teach you what I learned from this book I just read this year. And the one I'm reading last night in the bathtub, and what I learned last week from the fight with my husband. And what my husband and I learned last week when we had our fight is that we don't know how to fight. We don't know how to have a fight. And so we sought outside help, which means we went and saw our counselor. I went to 3 different meetings. He went and, he did his part, I did my part, and then we've come up with some questions we go over together every single night. And ask, I have to answer mine, he has to answer his, and it's new behavior, we're learning it, and we're creating a new habit that we didn't have before, because you know what, both of us have been married before, but it didn't turn out, obviously. And I never learned how to fight in that marriage either, because I didn't learn how to fight in my family, because guess what, I learned how to eat my feelings, or hide them, or push them away, or like my role in my family was to be the little counselor, and I was the little counselor at 16. And I was trying to help my parents who weren't really getting along, and I was trying to help my sister. And so all of those things that are way, way back that I think don't matter today in my business or my life, they do matter. And they still are there, and they are a part of what I'm bringing to the table. And so I've got to be willing to do that new hard work. So like I said, this is a very simple fill in the blank here. The evolution of your business is basically that your clients want the you of today. They want the you of today. So that's it on that. And then let's go to the simple techniques to get you unstuck. And I just want you, I know what they are for me. I've shared a lot of them already. I wrote down, just for today helps me every single day. So go ahead and let's just do a big brain typing brain dump. So what are the techniques? This is for you to answer. Let's all help each other out here. What are some of the techniques you use to get yourself unstuck? Sometimes it is like just walking to the mailbox helps me, right? Just what Karen just did. Getting outside, we live a lot of our life inside, and it's really kind of weird, actually. So getting outside. I cannot read in the bathtub. What are your unstuck techniques? Haha, bathtub books. Okay, so let's just do giant brain dump, simple techniques to get you unstuck.
So the chat box should be blowing up right now, right?
Yeah.
With everyone else's simple techniques that they use to get them stuck. Okay.
There we go. I write about it. Excellent. And so definitely start typing, keep posting, shift gears. Yes. Take a break. One of my simple technique is called the pause, power of the pause, because I can get knee deep, stuck, entrenched, and I start gripping, it's white knuckling my business. And you know what? I just need to drive over to Target and return the thing that I need to return, just to get a shift of energy, a different perspective that there is a world outside of this handout I'm supposed to make or whatever that is. Yes, call someone, take a picture. Take a break. So the pause, power of the pause, run an errand, go walk down the street. I have a hula hoop. Heck, I could get on, use that thing for 5 minutes. That's a hard workout, 5 minutes with a hula hoop. So you need to know what these are for you. Let me read a couple prompts for you. And we're not going to dive in deep on these because we don't have time to do that. I want to make sure we do the mentors table. So Karen, can you type these up for me? And this is related to getting unstuck, and it's really kind of focused in on freedom. Because if we're stuck, we're not feeling free. If I'm stuck, I feel powerless, right? So you're going to hear the word freedom a lot in this worksheet. So here we go. Number 1, where do you feel stuck when it comes to freedom in your life? Where do you feel stuck when it comes to freedom in your life? And after we get done, Karen, you guys can get these, the transcript of these, or you can always cut and paste from the chat box yourself. Amazing. Number 2, what do you feel when you're experiencing this lack of freedom? What do you feel? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel frantic? I know I was anxious for many, many years, but I didn't know that was what it was called. I just thought that was entrepreneur. I just thought that was the entrepreneur feeling. What do you feel when you're experiencing this lack of freedom? Number 3, and there's a total of 12 questions, Karen, just so you know where we are. Number 3, how do you behave when you feel this lack of freedom? These are questions that will be able to help you get unstuck. So if I am feeling a lack of freedom, how do I behave? Do I hide in the back room? Do I avoid? Do I not answer the phone? Some people sleep all day. That's how they avoid. Some people get busy and frantic and run around. How do you behave? Number 4, what's your role? This is a key question. What's your role in this situation? What's your role in this situation? Number 5, what's the belief underneath this feeling? I'm not, what it could be, the belief underneath this feeling is I don't know enough. I'm not enough. Who am I to do such things? So there's a belief underneath. And then 6, questioning that belief. Is this belief true? Is this belief true? And, sidebar, do I have evidence that this is not true? Because oftentimes I believe something's true, but I have evidence in my own life that it's not. And so I have to remind myself of that. Is this belief true? Number 7, is this belief working for you? That reminds me of Dr. Phil. How's that working? Is this belief working for you, or is that just causing you to stand still in panic and paralyzed? Is this belief working for you? Number 8, what's the benefit of having this belief? Because there's always a benefit. And then there's always the next question is about the cost. What's the benefit of having this belief? Well, if I have this belief, then I don't have to do anything because it's not my business. It's not my fault. And no one's going to sign up for my program anyway. So I can just stop thinking about it and changing the name of it. what's the benefit of having this belief? And number 9, what's the cost of having this belief? What's the cost of having this belief? Is it costing me my dignity? Is it costing me my passion? Is it costing me my integrity? What's the cost of having this belief? And last 3, 10, who would you be without this belief? Who would you be without this belief? Would you be able to do the videos that like Mindy mentioned? Would you be able to go on, do the thing that scares you the most and reaches more people? Who would you be without the belief? Number 11, how would this change your experience of freedom? We could also fill in the blank. How would this change your experience of progress, not perfection? And last question, what are you more aware of now? Awareness is what will change all of your life. And, that's what this entire time has been together talking about. We're becoming more aware of our own habits, behaviors, beliefs, systems, excuse me. Okay. Any thoughts or questions on that? We've got 15 minutes. I'm very well aware of that and counting down. And so I want to talk to you about Mentor's Table, but any ahas on some of those questions? Okay. All right. So, Karen?
I mean, so you have a counseling background. I have a counseling background, and that whole, what was the question of what's the benefit of having, so you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm stuck. This is a terrible thing. There's no benefit to it. But there's always some benefit. And so this is a great counseling term, and we call it homeostasis. And it explains why when we're hungry, angry, lonely, tired, frustrated, discouraged, discontent, etc., we always tend to resort back to, even if it's a very unhealthy practice or behavior, because homeostasis felt comfortable for us. Yes, we argued with our spouse every day, and no, we didn't like the fact that we argued with our spouse every day, but it sort of became a routine and a norm for us. The first day you didn't argue, you're thinking, wait a minute, something's wrong, something's missing, something's lacking. And just understanding that, I think, another great counseling term is, emotional intelligence, or what was the one that started with a D? Totally went straight out of my head, but the more just understanding that about myself, that when distressed, I'm going to resort back to the thing that was easiest for me or most common for me, even if it wasn't the healthy thing, changes my mindset, right? I mean, I think, oh, now I understand. I remember my first young husband, bless his heart, understanding my emotions and my monthly cycles better than I did. And I would say something like, I just feel so discombobulated. I feel so out of sorts. And he would say, well, it's getting to be that time of the month or whatever. And I would think, there was this irritation that he understood what I was going through better than I did, because he paid attention. I didn't pay attention. I mean, what you've led us to do here today is to give ourselves permission to pay attention to the discomfort.
Yes. And
to define the comfort. I don't define it for myself. How am I ever going to reach it? Annette typed in, this is powerful and something I needed to be aware of, acknowledge, and consider how this will impact what steps I will take in my life next and what business goals and plans I will make. I think it's a beautiful thing in the evolution of you, Annette, today, that you were given permission, and maybe this is why we meet together. You were given permission to think about you first for the first time in, knowing you, I'm going to say 10 years, 10 or 12 years. You've taken care of people for years and years and years. This is a beautiful thing. Thank you, Diane. Appreciate it.
And so we're going to do, thank you. I'm going to do a quick exercise called the Mentor's Table, and then definitely I want to invite you guys to some opportunities I have for some coaching and a special NACWE offer in the Brave Living group, and then Karen definitely about NACWE in general. Mentor's Table. let me show you. I draw everything out like that. I didn't know that that was in me until that was in me. And so do not ever say, I will never blank. Because you know what? God is bigger than that. God knows exactly that you can. You might not be the best artist, but you know what? Progress is not perfection. And who really cares? Art has set me free. And, you know, being able to draw out and map out, this is from the Mosaic group that I did last year. I had them do an exercise. Some of them were a part of this, the bits and pieces exercise. This is one that is called the bookshelf exercise. And these are just things I drew out with Sharpie marker and made copies of. So, you know, give yourself permission to just be wacky and creative and you. So this is what my mentor's table looks like. Can you guys see that? There's a big old glare. This is what my mentor's table looks like. And I normally have it on my wall. So just grab a blank sheet of paper. And for me, it's helpful to see it visually. And I'm going to talk you through this and then leave time for you to share a little bit. And then we'll talk about some ways you can keep working with us. So I want you to begin to think about right now the 3 to 6 people you'd love to have guide you over the next year. This is, you know, these are people that it could be a mentor that someone you know or don't know. It could be a celebrity, a famous person. It could be someone who's made a difference in your life while living or they have passed away. And I'll give you a couple examples from mine so you can get the idea. I have me at one seat, and then next to me I have my Father God. I have a seat that I call the counselor seat. And I have 3 people's names in there, actually 4. And this is the counselor seat. These are different counselors I've had in my life that it spoke into me. It taught me about who I am. And they're from different parts of my journey, college and even today. So I have a counselor seat at my table. And mentally I want you to think of this is when I need to make a decision, when I am working on something that is tangling me up, I would come to the table with these people and ask for their wisdom and guidance. So I also have a seat called the coach seat. And I have a couple people's names in there. And so I have a counselor seat and a coach seat. I also made a seat for, you'll love this, Brene Brown. You know, because I would love to hear her perspective on my, whatever it is, my challenge, my question. I have a seat for Bob and Bill, who created the 12 Steps and wrote the Alcoholics Anonymous book, because that's valuable information for me. And they're both, you know, been dead many, many years. But what would they say if they were sitting at my table? And then I left an open seat, and I just wrote miracles and opportunities. And so that's an example of what I have at my mentor's table. But I want you to go ahead and jot down the 3 to 6 people that you might want at your table, and I'll give you a minute to do that. Okay. I know that was a short minute, but I want to make sure we have time to talk. So who wants to be an example that maybe can share out loud, or type into the group if you can't talk where you are, and just write down. This was a powerful exercise for me because, I value these different people's opinions, perspectives, and this process can be really helpful if you're feeling unsure. And oftentimes, the way that this was done for me is, let's say I have a question about my Brave Living program. Well, then I mentally could do a journaling exercise, or just even a visualization. Okay, well, what would this person say? What would they say to me about that? And really just in general, sometimes I need to hear from these people that are at my table who they believe I am. These people can speak into my life from all these different perspectives that I don't have. So who can share somebody maybe that got written down on their page? And Karen, maybe you can share a little bit. Have you ever done this, Karen?
No, I don't think so. I can't believe we've been together for however many years, and I haven't. I mean, it was very powerful for me. I had a tendency to listen to you and kind of want to follow your, your guidelines and not listen to me. So I kind of had to stop listening to you. But I thought, okay, awesome. Of course, I want God to be. I didn't draw a circle. I found it interesting that you drew a circular table, and I'm a Texas mediator and a biblical counselor, so I drew a rectangular table, and no one is on this side of the table. That's where the problem and the solution come. And so we're all on the same team. I love that whole concept. The concept is you're on the same team, you're working the problem, you're finding the solution together. I love that because I needed that. It also takes you, the person, out of the problem seat. You're not the problem. There is a problem. There is a solution we need to find. So I kind of did it that way. I put Fred, we're in a new place. You kind of mentioned that. I put him in one of those seats because I think we married. We both were widowed young and remarried, and we married with a passel of children. And then all of a sudden we had a passel or two or three of grandchildren. And we've never been alone, and we're getting ready to be able to be alone together for the first time in 23 years of marriage. Mm. And so I want to include him in a different way, in a new way, in a healthy way. I loved leaving a seat open. That was very helpful to me. I have a coach right now who is a specialist in Facebook groups. And I just feel like, I think I've morphed and I've grown and transitioned and things like that, but I still think there's so much more to learn. So I put her in a seat. I opened a seat up for coaching, for learning more about coaching, or for maybe and doing retreats differently. I put a seat in there for biblical counseling. My counseling practice is very different today than it was a year ago or 2 years ago. Thank you, DIANE and NACWE. But I still just did an 8-hour session on depression for the Association of Biblical Counselors. So I'm still called back into that realm a lot more than I thought I would be at this phase in my life. So I blocked off a seat for, who do I want to learn from the most? Where biblical counseling and depression and things like that. So, this is very helpful. I think my tendency is going to be to want to add 55 seats around this table. Right. And you can't do that. So I'm going to take this somewhere even further. Diane's not, some of us, our folks are not able to talk, so let's go there. Diane said she has a business coach in a seat. Diane, you're there, and Lynn Gates is there. She has a fitness coach. Ryan Engel and M. Tulin are there. Marcia said she has a seat for a coach counselor. Marshawn Evans, Celeste Owens. A seat for life thought influencers like Brene Brown, Oprah. A seat for spiritual guidance. A seat for creativity. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yes.
So
I thought about that. I would love to hear. I know we don't have a lot more time. We're getting ready to talk about what you have to offer and what I have to offer and sign out. But y'all, if you have time in these last few minutes to type some more of that in the classroom, I would never have thought about that. Marcia, a seat for creativity, and yet I need that. It doesn't come as naturally for me as it does which is why I hang around with people like y'all. That one knocked my socks. I'm falling off my seat on that one. Very helpful. So y'all type into the chat box if you can, if you have time, any thoughts you have about those seats that we hadn't thought of. I love that. Diane, go ahead.
Well, I love that. I mean, and this is the power of our visualization and our mind, is that your table looks different than mine. Hallelujah. And part of this can also be, is that table in a living room, or is it out on the beach? Is it in a boardroom? Is it in a church? Is it in your kitchen? I mean, what is this mentor's table? Tables are everywhere. Jim jokes with me because he's like, did you buy another table? I'm like, I need more space. I've got to have a place to put all my stuff and, my papers and my stuff. And so every time he come home with another table, he's just like, oh my God. But everybody's table can be different, and these seats can be, you can remove somebody from your seat whenever you need to. But these are powerful. It was such a powerful visual for me, and the reason you haven't done it is because I just experienced this with my new coaching group that I'm a part of, and just a powerful visual that I keep just in my sight of range. I mean, I don't think about it all day, every day, but like it's just there. It's another tool in the toolkit, because really, and I'll just wrap up with this. Everything that we've talked about today, like I said, if you got one nugget from today, and maybe it's just one little concept just for today, or tracking or something, then we did our job. If you implement one thing, then you've done more than most. If you've taken a deep breath today, like we did at the beginning, and let's go back to where we started with the cubbies. You were able to put aside a few things and be aware of a few things that even you came to the table with today. And learn a few new techniques and tools, but the miracle will be in what you do after this. It'll be in what you do after this. And I'll just say some thank yous right now. Thank you, Karen, for giving me this chance to come back, and I can't believe it's 12 already. We had to. I feel like we've done as much as we can do in 3 hours, and we did a lot. So thank you.
Thank you for trusting me with your baby. I think of you daily. You've influenced me and changed me so much. I've appreciated today tons.
Yes, ma'am. Well, so tell them about NAC, or what do you want? Do you want me to?
What I will do, just to save a little time, is I will send everyone an email, promises, sometime this week with a special offering, just because you came and spent minutes and hours with us today. That kind of offering is going to have to be different for everyone, because some of you are already, speaking at the conference, coming to the conference, but it'll be conference related, whether we'll put you in the magazine, your business card, or something like that. For free, we'll do that probably. That's probably what we'll do. But look for an email from me from info@nacwe.org, and then Diane will just let you close this out. We'll close out with your offering and with prayer, and thank you so much. And I will send everyone the link to the recording as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Karen. Well, I've got 2 things I'm going to offer and tell you about. Karen already mentioned the Heart Art Retreat. All that information is on the website. I've got about 5 more spots open. Karen's going to be there. Annette's going to be there. I'm going to be there. But that happens in October. What I'm really excited about right now, though, includes a ticket to the Heart Art Retreat. It's the Brave Living group. And I've done many versions of Brave. Karen and Marcia were in the first Brave. They were the brave, bold ones to come at the very beginning, and that was a 1-year program, and it's evolved and evolved and evolved, and Annette was in 1 year all by herself. God bless her. But this year I've got one already going with 6 women in it, and then I'm launching a new one, and it's called Brave Living, because it's more than just about brave adventures. It's about living brave every day, and that's what I've come to understand. So that program starts in August. It lasts till December, but I've added in a group that's January, February, March. And then it also has a ticket to the Heart Art Retreat. And I mean, I'm not going to give you all the goods. What I would want to do is set up a phone call. I've already talked to Diane Sawyer about it. talk to Annette, Karen, and Kim a little bit. But if that's something that speaks to you, I would love to get on the phone and share with you what I have put together. I mean, it's really a lot more of this, and then private coaching and a group experience, because I believe we learn with both. I mean, I need coaching privately, and I need to learn from the entire process. So that's called Brave Living. And one of the bonuses of that, like I said, is the Heart Art Retreat. But I just went to a 4-day training on what's called RIM, Regenerating Images in Memory. And been practicing that this last week, and I'm calling those breakthrough sessions. You also get some breakthrough sessions as a part of this, and that technique we did at the beginning with the cubbies is similar to what happens with that. So lots to share. But yeah, just email me, Diane at DIANE Cunningham, and let's set up a time to talk.
Amen. Thank you. All right. Let me pray for us, and then we'll get the recording to you. It takes a while to download it and upload it. We'll get the recording to you in the chat room to you, the notes from the chat room too. It was very powerful. Let me pray for everyone. Father God, we're so grateful. It's hard to block off 3 hours when you have things in your cubbies that are peeking out and waving at you and that sort of thing. But I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad that we thought about it. I'm so grateful to Diane for being here, Lord. We just pray a special blessing on her family, on her marriage, on her office, her new office, on her new programs. Lord, I pray for each one of us that we will take away something from today. Just don't let it leave our hearts and minds. Lord, I pray that you would just impress upon each one of us individually one thing that we will carry with us over the next few days that will change the face of our business and ministry, that will help us to do what we do with more freedom. I loved the use of the word freedom. I need that. Lord, we want to serve you and serve others through you, and we want to do it well in ways that please you and bring you glory and honor. Help us to do that. And we ask these things in Christ's name. Amen. God bless. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, y'all.